shift their mindsets into a better space and work on any areas that we are currently stuck on. And with me today, I have Dr. Marina Botha. Marina, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Dr. Marina Botha. So yes, I'm working with Nicole and Barry on the Uncovering Greatness team and just support them from the health side. I'm a medical doctor. I've been in the business of medicine for a number of years. Thank you.
Great, thanks Marina. And today we are going to be looking at just a number of tools and techniques in order to equip you on how to deal with where you're currently at. Because I know there's a lot of people out there today that are struggling with a whole lot of different things, from emotions, from fear to shock to anxiety to what's going to happen next, how long am I going to be stuck in my home, how long am I going to have to keep working like this. There's just so many different unknowns at the moment, and so we are super excited to be able to help you with some of those things. So just a little bit about my background. I started working with a team called Advanced Coaching and Leadership Center out of Dallas, Texas, just over 2.5 years ago. And pretty much the head coach there is a lady by the name of Seal Stanford. And I work with Seal directly and with her team. And our goal is just to equip people to be in a much better space so that they can do more, create more, and have more. And pretty much the technology that we work with is from a gentleman by the name of Alan Walters. And he just talks about, what zone are you in? Are you in the red zone, the yellow zone, or the green zone? And essentially, I don't know about you guys, but the green zone is, for me, it's like a traffic light. If we were to flip it upside down, it would be like a traffic light. If you're in the green zone, you can go, you can move, you can be in the right place, you're in the right time, you have the right things happening around you. And when you're in the red zone, you have the wrong things happening around you, wrong people, wrong places. And the yellow zone would pretty much be in between. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, I just want to be in the green zone, right place, right time, right things happening around me. So in order to do that, there's some key things that we need to work around to try and understand where we are and what our mood level is. So examples of moods would be sort of anger and frustration and upset. Those would be pretty much your red zone moods. And I don't know about if you've ever experienced this. You're late for something, you're in a hurry, and you're trying to get somewhere, and you're driving along and you hit all the traffic in the world. There's a car in front of you that's doing 40 on the highway, and you just get completely stopped, and it's just wrong place, wrong time, wrong things happening. You guys relate to that? Does it make sense? And then when you're in the green zone, it's just the right place, right time. All the traffic lights turn green as you drive up to them. You drive into a supermarket and there's a parking space right outside the front door. And, there's nobody trying to wrestle you to get into it. So that would be being in the green zone. And essentially, when you're in the green zone, there's a lot less friction in your life. There's a lot less things that are happening and going on. So what happens when you're in the green zone, there's a lot more flow, and it's a lot easier to work your way around things. And essentially, the reason why I have Dr. Marina with us today is because when you're in the red zone and you have the wrong things happening at the wrong time, there's a lot more resistance. And what happens is it starts to affect our health. Because we're stopped and there's a lot more resistance, it affects our health, it affects how we operate, and we start to get sick. So essentially, Marina, do you just want to comment on the different zones and how they affect your health from a doctor's perspective?
Okay, yes, thank you, Nicole. So as you've heard, red zone means you stopped. So a red zone person, when they're in health, means they are actually physically ill. Many of them are bedridden, many of them are still at work, but they're not functioning optimally. So a yellow zone person would be, yeah, they're all right, but they're not totally healthy. They've got a few aches and pains, maybe a bit of gut issues, maybe they're on medication that keep them reasonably healthy. So most people in yellow zone actually think they are healthy. But then the person in green zone really got what we call optimal health. They're really full of energy, so they're vibrating, they can actually do what needs to be done. Yeah, and they just enjoy life. And as I said, they are vibrantly healthy. So that's the difference between the different stages of health.
Great, thanks, Marina. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit around presence, because essentially presence is the #1 skill that you need in order to work out where you are in the zones. So if you're not present with your body, with your mind, with your spirit, you can't actually move from point A to point B because you don't know where point A is. So I know, Marina, often as a doctor, one of the things that you do is you will ask people a question. You'll go online with people, when did you start? When were you doing well? When did things change? And have they had any major upsets in their life? And you kind of plot it out. Would that be right?
Yes, yes. I work with a story, and that's specifically what I ask. When last did you feel totally healthy? What happened? And then from there on, we can actually sort of plot your health story along the line. And by knowing your health story, we actually know where to begin. So I definitely don't begin by giving you a pull for whatever is going on. It's about understanding where you were or what happened, and then we work on what happened so that we can shift mindset and shift you more towards health.
Great. And in terms of mindset, it would be the same thing. We work along what is your story, what's happened in your life, and we actually do what's called the life and skills analysis, where we would plot out on these graphs where you actually sit, so you can find out where you are. Are you in the red zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone? And what do you need to do to change that to help you shift into a much better space? And how we do that, the #1 skill is being present. Because if you're present, you can identify the mood that you're in. How many of you have ever experienced this when you're having a conversation with somebody and you ask them, why are you raising your voice? And they go, I'm not raising my voice. Can you guys relate? And they have no idea that they're actually raising their voice, and you can feel the anger, and they're going, I'm not angry. And you can actually feel the anger coming across. They're not even aware that is where they're at. So by becoming present, you become aware of where your mood level is at. You become aware of where your emotions are at, how you actually feel, and that's going to set you up to have a lot more positive day. If you know how you feel, you can stop and go, okay, great. Now I can change the mood that I'm in. How many of you, like right now, are in a position where you're getting frustrated at home? You're in lockup, you're locked down, and you're frustrated, and you can't explain to the person that you're with what's actually happening and why you feel the way you feel. Can anybody relate to that? So if you can identify what it is and how it is that you feel, then you can start to change it. You can talk about it and say, man, I'm frustrated because of this, this, and this. And you can start to pull those emotions apart and start to get a better understanding of where you're at, why you're at where you're at, and now you have a choice to change it. And one of the things around presence is I received an article this week, and it is fascinating. It's just, does anybody want to guess what the average concentration span is for the average person today? Do you guys, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to type into the chat box what you think the average concentration span is for an average person today. So if you could do that. So we've got 30 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 minutes, so 60 seconds. So this is an article from Time magazine, and it says the average attention span for the notoriously ill-focused goldfish is 9 seconds. Okay, so that's for a goldfish. But a new study from Microsoft talks about people now generally lose concentration after 8 seconds. And this is from the effects of the increasing digitalized lifestyle on the brain. They talk about it. Researchers have found that since the year 2000, or about when the mobile revolution began, the average attention span dropped from 12 seconds to a total of 8 seconds. So for me, that is like huge in terms of people can concentrate today for an average of 8 seconds. And for me, that's pretty scary. And so that's why presence is so important, because if you are yelling at somebody saying, oh, I'm not angry, I'm not upset, I'm not in a bad mood, that's already probably 8 seconds and you're not even aware that that's what happened. And so when we look at presence, presence is about your ability to be here in the now, to connect with your body, your mind, and your spirit. And just to become more aware of what you and your mind are actually doing. So Marina, from a health perspective, do you want to comment on that?
Yes, from a health perspective, it is so important to be aware of where you are at. I work in a very holistic model, and in the holistic model, we know that health or a healthy body is about a healthy mind, a healthy body, healthy emotions, and a healthy spirit. So if you're not aware where you are at, you cannot change your health. So for me, the number one skill in health is to be present, to be aware of where you are at. Because only then can you start to change and optimize your health.
Great. Thank you. So one of the things that we want to do today is give you some tips and techniques on how to become more present. But I just want to give you some stats around being present. So being present is an experience where you feel big, powerful, but yet you're at peace with who you are, what you want, and how to do it, regardless of what other people are doing or what situation you are facing. So right now, what do you think, and just to our viewers out there, how many of you think it would be worth being present so that you can focus on what you are doing, regardless of what's happening around you right now? So we got some comments there, absolutely. It's so key. It's such a key skill for people right now. And for those of you that missed it, last week, Marina and I did a webinar on boosting your immune system and the key things behind your immunity. And that is not one of the number one things that is going to help you in terms of where we're sitting now with the coronavirus. And Marina, do you just want to recap a little bit on the power of your immune system from what we did last week?
Yes, so our immune system is essentially the system that keeps our body healthy. But key to remember is that our immune system is part of our whole body. Our whole body is a system, and all the systems actually work together. So to keep ourselves healthy, it all starts with healthy thoughts, then healthy food. So what we discussed was, for now, we know sugar is a culprit. We need to eat lots of real food that actually gives us our nutrition. Lots of plant-based food, the rainbow of plants, lots of good quality meat. And then there's a lot of supplements, nutrients that we can take to actually optimize our health. So those are the things to really help us. And then, yes, the other key thing is keep moving. For you that are cooped up just in a small space, see what you can do. Walk around, jump around, get a skipping rope, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, but just a few minutes of exercise every day will also boost your immune system. And then the key thing, as we talked, is positive mindset. The moment you have a negative thought, the studies have shown the moment we have a negative thought or we've eaten a negative food, it immediately changes the way our body processes things, and it's actually immediate a immune suppressor for a short while. So it's so important to make sure that our thoughts are mostly positive, that we eat the right things, because the impact is immediate. But then the impact, if we do the right things, are also immediate. So key things. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Marina. And one of the biggest things that we've experienced is that right now, doctors do not have a cure for COVID-19. There is no cure. And our bodies are not built up. We haven't built up any immunity to this virus yet because we haven't been exposed to it. So it is key that you boost your immune system in the right ways with the right foods and all the things that Marina's just given you, because that is the number one thing that's going to keep you ahead of the game. Because studies have shown that 80% of people that get the virus do not need to go to hospital. And for me, that's the biggest thing is I truly believe that everybody's going to be exposed to it. We're all going to have some form of symptoms of it. The biggest thing is to make sure that we're in the 80%, we're eating the right foods, our bodies are strong enough that we can build up immunity to the virus, and we don't land up in hospital. And for me, that would be the biggest thing. So would you agree with that, Marina?
Yes, I totally agree.
Awesome, thank you. So one of the ways to build up your immunity is understanding the connection between your mind, your body, and your spirit. And we do that through presence. So I'm just going to read you, there are 8 major benefits to consistently being more present. So number 1 is better concentration and focus. Number 2, better execution and attention to details that matter, especially under pressure. How many of you are feeling under pressure right now? Our world is in crisis. A lot of people do not know where their next paycheck's coming from. A lot of people do not know what's going to happen after these 21 days of lockdown in South Africa. We are under a huge crisis. So you can have better attention to detail. You're under pressure so that you don't miss the important things. I think it would be really worthwhile. Number 3, vastly improved listening and memory skills. Number 4, able to distinguish what is important and what is not. I mean, right now, there's so much stuff happening on social media. I think it's key that people become more aware of what is it that you actually need to focus on and what is important and what's not. Because it's right now, it's so easy to get lost in Facebook, go absent, sit and scroll hours and hours and just completely go absent and not focus on what's important. So being present is a skill that's going to help you do that. Number 5, able to work much smarter. I don't know about you, but we've certainly, Marina and I are taking the stuff online because we want to work smarter. We want to help everybody out there. We want to help people get better results. 6, better conflict resolution. If you could have better relationships, improve things faster, especially when you're stuck at home with your spouse right now, having better conflict resolution is a great skill to have. Number 7, more persistence and increased effective ability to learn. I think that's a key skill that we need right now. I don't know about you, I certainly need to relearn technology in a different way and get a better understanding of Zoom and how to help people and webinars and things like that. So it's helped me. And then 8, wiser, clearer decision making, especially in the moment. And that, I think, is a huge skill that we need right now, because sometimes you're in the moment and you've got to make a decision and it needs to be made now, and more so now than ever, because our world is getting faster and faster paced, especially with technology, and it's a lot harder for people to become present. And it's a lot harder for people to make decisions and be connected. And so for me, presence has helped us do that. And I've done a lot of work with Marina, and there's a lot of other people that we've done a lot of work with. And it's actually one of our routines every single week in our organization, Uncovering Greatness, is to do presence every single Monday morning before we start our meeting. because it is so key, because it just grounds you, it connects you, and it sets you up to have a really, really awesome day. So Marina, is there anything you want to add to what I've said so far?
One thing that I can add is being present is about being in this moment, and you can only change anything now in this moment. If something in the past you can't change anything, there's nothing you can do in the future. It's only now that you've actually got control over. So presence is such a key skill, because that sets you up for the future.
Great. Thank you, Marina. That is such a great point, because what it does is, how many of you are like online right now with us and you're listening to us, but you're thinking about all the other things that are happening. You're thinking about, oh, I wonder what the numbers are of people with COVID-19 at the moment. Oh, I wonder what my children are doing. Oh, I wonder what's happening. And what actually happens is we're not present in the now. We are present in the future. I'm wondering what's happening. Or it could be, oh, I was just thinking about breakfast that I had. That would be, we're in the past. So it is so key that you understand that being present is not a physical thing. It's mental, spiritual, and it's something that happens now. And as Marina so rightly said, you can't change what you had for breakfast. You can't change where your children are at and what they're doing. You can't change the numbers on what's happening in the world with, how many people have the virus. But you can change your health right now. You can change your ability to make a difference right now. You can do something that's happening right now. You can, read a book. You can exercise. There's a whole lot of stuff that you can do right now. And even just by being present on the webinar and listening to what we're saying, having your presence in the webinar is very different to being here and being present. So it is key. I love this example. My youngest daughter, she's 16 now, but when she was little, if you were paying her attention, she'd walk up to you and she'd grab your face like this and she'd turn it to face you. So if I was looking that way, she'd turn it and go, Mom. And what it did is it taught me that she knew that I wasn't being present with her in the moment. And she taught me that skill when many, many years ago, from this little girl that was just so key on, it's so important to be present. And especially with your families now, I've seen, or I've heard a lot of stories of families that they're all together, but they're not actually present. They're not in each other's presence. They're not aware of what each other's doing. Everybody's on their cell phone, somebody's watching a movie, and they have no idea what emotions people are going through. They have no idea what their families are at, where they're at, how everybody else is feeling. They're just wrapped up in themselves. So it is such a key skill to be present. So I see on the chat there's a comment, how can we stay present in terms of health and mindset without getting lost in the deluge of information in the media, social and otherwise, keeping in mind that we must still gather knowledge about these current events since the doctors are still learning the implications of the virus. So, and that is a great question, because it is so important for us right now to focus on the right things, focus on what we can control, focus on where we're at and how we can improve our own health, our own mindset, and that of those around us. Because I know that if I'm present enough and one of my friends is not in a great space, I'm aware of it if I'm present with them and I can help them shift, which allows them to be in a better space and them to be in a better environment. And by doing that, we'll create a more green zone environment for the people around us. And that's what's important, because if it's green zone, we can help more people. We can have a better planet. We can have a better space in which to operate in. So it is key. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to help you guys become present. Is that okay with you guys? That we give you the tools and we actually put some of this stuff into practice. Is that okay with everybody? So I've got one yes on the screen, which is great. So that's awesome. So what we are actually going to do is we're going to split you up into breakout rooms. So what's going to happen is, and this is the first time we're doing this on Zoom for Marina and I, so you know, if you get stuck or whatever, when you're in the breakout room, if you need to call a presenter, there is a button in the breakout room that says to call presenter. And so just be aware that that is available. And I'm going to take you through the process. But the first thing is, when you're present with somebody, you're not going to talk to them. You're just going to connect with them eye to eye. So you're going to be quiet. You're not going to say anything. And you're just going to look at the other person on your screen. And you're going to make eye contact with them. And we are going to do that for 1 minute. It's just going to be 1 minute. And then we will bring you, at the end of the 1 minute, we will bring you back into the main room. And we would love to get some of your feedback. So essentially, that's the first thing that we're going to do is split you up into breakout rooms. You'll be with somebody else. Sully, who is our technician, is on the back end. He's going to do that for us. And so there's going to be no talking. We just want you to connect with that person, eye to eye, no talking. And just then we'll bring you back in. And just for 1 minute, you are going to focus on the person in front of you, no talking. You guys good with that? So I hope that works. And so Sully, if you could send everyone to breakout rooms, that would be awesome. And we will do that for 1 minute. So on your screen, you will see there, it's asking you to connect to the breakout room. If you haven't already done so, click to join a breakout room. For some people. And for other people, there would be people there that found it really comfortable. And so I think in terms of, it's okay if you couldn't, for some people, it would have been comfortable. For some people, you couldn't see your partner. And that's okay, because in terms of, it doesn't matter that you couldn't see them. The point is to connect with them. And so some people said I felt super connected to my partner and felt like I was right there with them. Other people have said it was weird. And, you know, a lot of people would have experienced different things. And the biggest thing, I think it's important to understand that it's okay. Whatever you felt, it was okay. And the biggest thing is just to start doing presence. So what I'm going to ask you all to do now is I want you all to be absent. So I don't want you to disappear anywhere. I'm going to give you instructions on how to do it. But essentially what I'd like you to do is just look away from the computer. Don't leave the space, or look away from your phone or whatever it is. And just for 30 seconds, we're going to be absent. And so what that means is just your mind's going to go somewhere else. You're going to do something different and think of something else. You can keep looking at your computer screen if you want to, but for 30 seconds, starting now, be absent. And stop. So come back, bring your face back to the screen and your presence back to the screen. And how many of you felt that was really uncomfortable? So there's a couple of hands that are going up. How many of you, it was completely comfortable? It was easy to be absent. So was there anything? So some people have said it made me feel tired. I felt it was rude. I felt that it was, some people said it was so easy. Other people said, they didn't get that. So the biggest thing was being absent is something that we do a lot of the time. So when we are not present, obviously we're absent. So when we're thinking of something else, we're absent. And we're not actually here in the moment. And the biggest thing that I wanted you to get is that for some of you, it was uncomfortable. And now a great example of being absent is you just walk into the supermarket and you start talking to a teller and they ask you, or a cashier, would you like a bag with your groceries? And it happens to me all the time. I say, no, thank you. And they're not even listening. They scan the bag and then they just carry on and they didn't even hear you because they were absent. And now in terms of when you were absent, you started, like somebody said, I started focusing on my worries. Somebody said I felt rude. There was a number of different comments, but the biggest thing is, are you aware of that's what happens when you go absent? Those negative emotions and moods kick in. And because we're not aware of them, they literally overtake us. So what I would like you to do is, maybe we could try this a little bit differently, is find somebody on your screen, it doesn't matter who it is, and in the top corner you'll see there's 3 little dots and you can, if you click on, it goes blue in the top corner and of your screen, and there's 3 little dots. If you click on those little dots, you pick somebody on your screen and you click on those little dots and you can say pin video. And what will happen is their video will come up big on your screen. And what I would like you to do is we're going to do 2 minutes of presence with that person that's on your screen. And so does everyone understand what I'm asking them to do? So essentially just find a face on the screen or a blank screen, connect with them and just be present with them. And we're going to do it for 2 minutes. So for 2 minutes, no talking, just connect with the face that's in front of you that you've picked or the blank screen. And for 2 minutes, with everybody on the webinar, we will be present. So begin.
How are we chatting, Molly? Privately.
Okay, I've unmuted.
Huh? Somebody go get her. She's dancing like a streamer.
So just stay present, focus on the person in front of you. If any thoughts come to mind, just let them go. Bring yourself back into this space. And stop. That is 2 minutes. So, just in terms of that, did it get easier for you guys? Was it easier to be present? So for some of you, I know it would have still been really difficult. And for some of you, it would have become easier. Some of you, it still would be really, really uncomfortable. And that's okay. The biggest thing is just to start to become aware of what is actually happening. You know, how many of you found that you were actually starting? Yes, if you can unpin the screen, that would be great. So we can get yes, Sully, if you could pin the speakers back up, that would be great. If you can do that, thank you. And for some of you, it was a lot easier to become present. For some of you, you may have still found it really difficult. For some of you, some kind of uncomfortable feelings might have started to come up, and that's okay. Whatever was happening, that's okay. The biggest thing is just be aware that when you become present, you're going to start to clear your mind of a whole lot of stuff, and that's the purpose. When you start to clear your mind, you can become connected way more to your body, way more to your spirit, way more to what's actually happening. So Marina, I don't know if you want to have had any comments on the presence and so far your experience, and from a doctor's perspective, what it does.
From my perspective, it is so key that we are actually present with each other, and especially when I'm interacting with my clients, because by being present, I can actually feel where they are. I can feel the emotions. I can sense what is going on and help them so much more. Because it's not always the spoken word, but how people feel and with their presence, you know where they are at. So presence is extremely important. And then also for my clients, that they can feel I am connecting with them, that they are the most important person sitting in front of me. So from a health perspective, it's extremely important to be very, very present with whoever is sitting in front of me.
Great, thanks Marina. In terms of, I know some of you have said, oh, it's strange because I don't know the person in front of me. I don't know what's actually happening. And that's okay. How many of you have ever walked past a stranger in the supermarket and smiled at them? You guys ever done that? Or had someone smile at you? And what difference does it make? Suddenly you're aware that somebody is actually present with you. Somebody's actually connected with you. And so it's not about, do you know the person? I know for some people there's cultural issues around, you've been taught that it's not okay to look people in the eyes. The biggest thing is we want to help people practice those skills so that you get present, because when you're present, you just become so much more aware of what is actually happening in your body, what's going on, and it just will make you feel so much better. So example, somebody smiles at you in the supermarket. What does it do? Does you go, no, I'm not going to talk to you? We don't do that unless you're in a really bad mood. But essentially, generally, we kind of go, oh, somebody noticed me. And we smile back at them. And another example is, if you see somebody in the supermarket and they have their name badge on, if you call them by name, you'd be amazed at the response that you get, because somebody actually noticed them. Somebody was present enough to read their name. And those are little key tips that you can start practicing. Well, obviously, when you can start moving around and we're out of self-isolation. But even if you see people today from 2 meters away, you can still smile at somebody. You can still let them know that you see them, that they're not alone. And that's the key skill about being present, is that work through the skill. And when we do this presence exercise, we actually do it up to 20 minutes. Some of the courses we do, we've done it up to 40 minutes, where you sit and be present with somebody for 40 minutes. And it's a really, really powerful exercise to do, just to, and I'm not expecting you guys to go out and do it for 20 minutes now. All we're asking you to do is learn the skill of being present, because it is the number one skill that you will need in life in order to work through what you're working through. So when you are present, you can make a choice to choose what you would like to do. So it is important to be present, connect with people, and practice this drill. And you can practice this drill at home. You can practice it with your family. You can practice it with your friends. Though, I mean, you can get on. I have a friend in Mexico, and we often will get on a WhatsApp call. We don't see each other, but we will do presence for a couple of minutes with each other, just to connect our spirits with each other. And if you do that for a couple of minutes, and I know it sounds all woo-woo and all crazy kind of stuff, but she knows that for 5 minutes, I am focusing on her, and I'm aware of what's happening in her world. And you don't have to, the key thing is, don't talk, don't put stuff out there. Just be present and connect with somebody. And I really would encourage you to just look somebody in the eye, spend some time in your homes now. I mean, people can't actually run away. They can't, I'm busy, I've got stuff to do. Especially, just be in their presence and connect with them. I mean, if it's your children, play a game with them. Just connect with them, and you'll be amazed what it does to your mind, your body, and your spirit, and how it lifts your mood level. Just being present with somebody will lift their mood up to 10, 20 times higher than what it was before you started doing presence with them. So it is a key skill to do that. Marina, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just, I can remember when my children were little, and it's for all babies, that you play that peekaboo. You know, you look at them, you cover their faces or your face with something, and then look at them. So this is actually one of those skills to really connect with someone, even if it's just for 30 seconds. And that will actually lift their mood.
And just to give you, thanks Marina, just to give you guys some ideas of how it actually works. We go through these 4 stages in anything that we do in our lives. Any ability that we have in our life, we will move through these stages. So an example would be a musical instrument. So if you take a musical instrument and like you take something like a ukulele, okay, some people on this call will never have heard of that. Some people will never have heard of a ukulele. They have no idea what it is. And so you essentially are in absence, because you don't know that it exists. And then now you know that it exists. So it becomes a mentally you know what it is. Then we start to shift into the physical. So the physical is you start to see what it looks like, you begin to touch and feel, and you learn some notes, you learn how to play it. And then what happens is we move into what's called emotional. So now I'm starting to play a musical instrument. I'm starting to play the ukulele. And now somebody says, oh, play it for me. And suddenly all my emotions turn on around, am I going to look like a fool? Am I going to look like an idiot? Am I going to make a mistake? All those kind of things start to happen. And we have to shift through the emotional state and then move into the spiritual. So a spiritual state is a level of mastery. So we move into that state where now I can stand up on stage and I've got 50,000 people in front of me and I'm playing away magically on the ukulele and I'm making great music and it sounds great. Every stage that we go through in our lives, every ability that we have moves through these stages. Becoming a parent, a mother, a father. I didn't know I was a parent. Then I became a parent. Now I have to hold the baby. Now I've got to, what do I do with this thing? How do I feed it? How do I look after it? And then now I know what to do with it. And it's beautiful and it's a great experience and it makes sense. And now I understand what's happening. Is this making sense to you guys in terms of abilities? So it all starts with being present, because if you are not present, you won't know where you sit in these areas. So when we start to look at a health perspective, if you know that you need to go for a walk, but you don't actually go for a walk because our emotions stop us from going, oh, we're on lockdown. I look stupid if I walk around the block in my living room and I walk around my dining room table 50 times and, oh, what is people going to think of me? It's not the physical that stops us. It's the emotional. And when we start to understand that, oh, what is it? Am I present enough to know what is it that's stopping me? Is it the emotions? What is it that's stopping me? Because most people will get stuck in the emotions. And the reason why the emotions are so key is that they trigger us back into past memories. And it's the emotions that will cause the illness in our body. So right now where we sit is there are a lot of people that are stuck in shock. They are in fear, they're in anxiety, they are in a whole lot of mixed, unpleasant emotions because there's so many unknowns as to what to happen. So should I wear a mask? Should I wear gloves? Should I, what if this happens? Should I use hand sanitizer? Should I use soap? And there's all these mixed emotions and these unknowns. And these are all emotional things. And they are what trap us. And I'm pretty sure that from a doctor's perspective, and Marina, you can let you, in 6 to 8 months' time, we are going to see a huge surge in illnesses in people because they didn't deal with the fear and the anxieties and the emotions, all these emotions that they are currently stuck in. Marina, do you want to just comment on that?
Yes, thank you, Nicole. So your emotion actually stands for energy in motion. So as she says, all our negative energies, the shock, the fear, are actually keeping us stuck. So our energy is not flowing. So if the energy is not flowing, our body is not getting the nourishment. We're not healthy because our cells and everything actually starts to deteriorate. And yes, what we know specifically in the field of mind-body medicine that's been very well researched is all these negative emotions are actually go and sit in our cell memory and they cause disease. A negative emotion can actually, if we go into a more scientific detail, it actually changes what we call the expression of our genes. So what it means is our genes just helps us body to build certain things and to have optimal metabolism. So if these, let's call it stuck emotions, bad emotions, we will have negative expression, we will actually go into negative health. So yes, we will see some chronic diseases down the line. And the acute type of things is the shock, the fear. That can go into a permanent state. It can shift people in a total depression. It can shift them that they are extremely anxious, but also on the physical side, affect heart disease. It can cause diabetes. So many of our diseases are actually, or most of them are actually, have a link to our emotions. So yes, you're right. We will probably see an upsurge of some diseases, unless what we're going to talk about and what Nicole is talking, we can actually change that. If we really look at what we do right now, it doesn't need to be that way. We can actually use this time to really optimize our health and set ourselves up for a much better future the moment we're out of this lockdown. So it's all about what we do right now and recognize when we are in this negative emotions.
And thank you, Marina. And the biggest thing is that if you start with being present, you can actually identify what is it that I'm sitting in. Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it shock? What is it? And where is it coming from? And what is the fear? Because fear is such a broad word. And, I'm sitting in fear. Well, great. Fear of what? So, and it's so key that you start to identify what is the fear, where is it coming from? So, yes, I'm fearful of losing my job. Okay, great. Well, what can I do right now to start to implement that, to look at different opportunities as to how to overcome that? There are so many opportunities out there, but if you're sitting in a shock, if you're sitting in fear, you cannot create the future because you're focused in the past and you're stuck in the past. So, and it is critical right now that people become present, people become aware. And in terms of if you're sitting in a shock and you're sitting in an unknown, it's critical that you shift your attention into the positive, because now you can create something different. What do you want your future to look like? When you're in the present and you are present right now, you have an option of, I can actually do something. Your mind is here now, so it can look at what do I want my future to look like and what can I start to create? Because if you don't identify the fear, you'll be stuck in there. It'll decrease your health. It'll decrease your ability to move. You'll land up in depression. You'll land up in a space where you are doing nothing except creating illnesses in your body. And then what happens is we go out into the big bad world and we're trying to make something happen. And because our immune systems are low, we land up sick, not necessarily from the coronavirus, from something else, like Marina said, another chronic disease. And then it just creates more anxiety, more frustration, and it's a vicious cycle. So Marina, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, the one thing, and you're probably going to talk about it, but being in fear, in shock now, and it could actually trigger something from the past, because the situation now can actually trigger and take you back to something that's been in the past that is similar. And it actually, we all, in the mindfulness we talk about, there's always that first arrow that causes the pain, but you can cause much more pain by being worried about the pain. So if you are now stuck in fear and there's a trigger, it's a double whammy. So it's the situation now, but something in the past that's actually worsening it. So it's so important to understand what's causing the fear. Is it really what's happening now? Or is it something that has happened in the past? Because if you can address what is causing the fear, you can actually shift the fear.
Thanks, Marina. And that's a great point around, often it's something from our past. So a lot of people, an example would be by being stuck at home, it could trigger a previous incident where you had a sick child and your child landed up in hospital and then you had to bring them home and spend a couple of days at home. It could trigger those emotions that were stuck in that incident, and that's actually what's being triggered now. And because you're not present and you're not aware of where those emotions are coming from, it's just a vicious cycle, and it keeps going and keeps going, and those emotions just build, and we create more of them because we're actually not present and not aware of where they're coming from. For some people, being at home may trigger or remind them of a previous time that they lost a job, and it's triggering and reminding them of those emotions and what happened. Or it could have been something like you lost a loved one. So it is so critical that you understand being present now. Then ask yourself, where are those emotions coming from? Where's the fear? Where's the anxiety? What is it from? And is it from the past? And is it from something that happened back then? Or is it something that could be happening in the future that hasn't actually happened yet? Because if it hasn't happened yet, there's no point in being fearful over it because it hasn't arrived yet. You don't have any control over it. So it's about being in the now, identifying where those emotions are coming from. And now you have a choice, because if you can identify that it could have been from a past experience when you lost a job, okay, good. Now those are past experiences. Those are not what's happening now. And so if I can focus on what's happening now, I can create something, and I can change something, and I can start to reach for something bigger, better, more, and I can create more. And I can see the opportunities when they arrive. Because a lot of people are sitting at home, there are opportunities for you. But because we're stuck in these emotions here from our past, we can't actually see those opportunities, and we don't have the ability to create. And then that vicious cycle moves all the way down. So one of the things that I really encourage people to do is to be exceptionally grateful at this point. There's a lady that once taught me that there are two emotions that you cannot feel at the same time. One is fear and the other is gratitude. So if you are sitting in fear, if you make a list of 10 things that you are grateful for right now, then you can shift into a more positive space and you can start to be grateful. And when you're grateful, now you can see the positive things around you and you can start to create. And Marina, maybe you can just share in terms of what is from a health perspective, what does gratitude do for us on a health perspective?
So from a health perspective, being grateful actually connects you with being positive. It actually puts you in a positive mood. And the moment you're in a positive space, your whole physiology is actually gearing towards positive and towards the flow of energy, as I've talked about. So if you are in a positive mood, you want to accomplish things. You're more willing to exercise. You're more willing to eat healthy. So just being grateful immediately puts you in that more positive space. So it actually makes it so much easier to do positive things, because your body is actually more geared towards taking action. The moment you're negative, you don't have that flow of energy and you just want to sit and do nothing. You don't want to eat good food. You don't want to exercise. Sometimes you don't even want to think. So positivity is so important, because it actually gives you the energy to go and do the things that most of us know we need to do.
Great, thank you, Maria. And essentially, by being grateful, it'll put you into a positive space, which puts us into the green zone. And the other thing that will keep you in the green zone is taking action. So in terms of where you sit right now, some of the tools to help you shift, because the number one thing you need to do is become present. So practice presence with somebody around you. Become present. Understand where you sit. Where are your emotions? Now, if your emotions are in fear, now you can start to, okay, how can I change it? What is my mood? What mood do I want to be in? And then what we can do is now we can take action, because we are in a better space in our mind, because now we can take the action. And it's the action that we keep taking that will keep us in the green zone. Because when you're in the green zone, right place, right things, right timing, right things happening, and it will shift you into a way better space and keep you there. And then by having a healthy body, you can have a healthy mind. Having a healthy mind creates a healthy body. And now you can look for opportunities. You can start to create something. And all of these things affect your mindset. They affect your health. And I know Marina is incredibly passionate about holistic health. And she's incredibly passionate about how our doctors today are not in the health industry, they're in the sickness industry. And you don't need to quote me on that, but that's my perspective. But I truly believe that what has happened today with our healthcare system is that we walk into a doctor and we say, I've got a sore throat and I'm coughing, and now you need to give me some medicine. And the doctor gives you antibiotics and sends you off home and gives you some space to recover, instead of looking at what is it that caused the sore throat? What is it that caused the cough? And is it something mental that's happening? Is it something else that's going on? And so in terms of my belief and Marina's belief is to become we're very passionate about helping people find the root cause of it, so that we can create a holistic view of health. So we're not just treating the symptoms, we're treating the cause of what actually made you sick, so that you can now start to improve your overall level of health, so that sickness doesn't keep recurring. Because I know I have, my eldest is 20, and I know that every year from the age of probably 5 or 6, we take a trip to the hospital. We have an operation. We have a lumbar puncture. We have something happen somewhere in her body that is, the effects are so bad that we need a trip to the hospital. And for me, I got to a point where it's like, what is happening that we have to keep revisiting a doctor and have an operation? It doesn't make sense, because she's young, she's fit, she's healthy. And then I realized, it's her mind. And there were some things that happened to her when she was at school around bullying, and around, in terms of every time at school she got to a point where she got successful, other people at school would make less of her and tell her that she wasn't any good. And once we started working on her mindset and shifting her mind, we now don't take a trip to the hospital. We may just take a trip to the doctor, or we may just take a trip to a biokineticist to fix her shoulder, but it's not she has to have an operation. It's just the shoulder's a little bit sore and she needs some physio or things like that. But it's made a significant difference to her in her life, because it's not something, it's a couple of sessions that we're out. It's not 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks in terms of an operation. So by shifting her mindset, we've been able to shift her ability to create. She's probably the fittest she's ever been in her life, and the healthiest, but it started with her mindset, because we decided to take a holistic view of where she was at, where her mindset was at, and how it could make a difference. So Marina, I'm just going to hand over to you in terms of the process of, I know today it's something you are incredibly passionate about, is looking at the holistic view. And it is something that doctors are looking at now with the coronavirus, because there is no cure for it at the moment. And we have to start looking at, how do we look at it from a holistic point of view, and what do we need to do?
Okay, so thank you, Nicole. So yes, from a holistic perspective, it's important that we look at health from all the sides, the mental, the physical, emotional, spiritual. It's understanding that we are a human being. We have a relationship with ourselves, with our spirit, but we are also in relationship with other human beings and our bigger environment. So when we look at what's going on in a person, and I'm going to talk specifically about chronic diseases, it's about understanding where they are at, understanding all the dimensions of their life. Because most chronic diseases, if we actually, let's call it, catch them early or identify them early, we can actually change. So 95% of all chronic diseases are actually reversible if we start early enough, and they are reversible with making lifestyle changes around food, around exercise, around sleep, around managing our stress. But the key thing is managing the mindset. And what I've seen over the years, it's actually so sad that there's such a vast majority of people that are told, yes, you've got a chronic disease. There's not a lot we can do. Take this medication will help. But in most instances, the medication will never cure you. If you've got a chronic disease, you're actually labeled with that and you've got that for life. And you need to be on medicine for life. And what I know from, I work in the systems biology approach, where we look at the body as a whole system. As I said, everything works together. And from a systems perspective, we know that we can actually identify very, very early imbalances in different systems, and we can actually reverse it. And especially now in this time with coronavirus and going forward, we need to understand how do we reverse, because there's various stats. These stats ranging anything from these half of the world's got a chronic condition to 80 to 86% of people actually have a chronic condition. And some of the stats that are even more frightening is that they say that, up to a quarter or more of children that are born today actually are born with a chronic disease. And in spite of all the knowledge we have in terms of conventional medicine and medication, we were not able to stop that. It's actually getting worse and worse. So something is missing. And I think that what's missing is this holistic approach, because it's not about medicine alone. It's not about surgery alone. It's about the whole person. It's about the person's mind, what's going on in the body, what's the emotions, what's going on in the spirit, and how do they interact with the environment. So that's the new paradigm of medicine that really, I think the time is actually ripe for that to become the norm. That all our colleagues actually embrace this and say, this is how we're going to look after people, and really set them up for success.
Oh, Marina, thank you so much. And so what I'd like to do with you guys on the webinar, what I'd like to do is to break you up into breakout rooms, and we're going to put between 5 and 6 of you in a breakout room, and maybe just discuss with each other some of the things that you've learned, some of the things that you've understood. If you've got any questions, and we're going to put you in a breakout room for just probably 5 minutes, and then just discuss with each other. We'll take you off mute. You can discuss with each other what you've learned, what you understood, and just connect with each other, and yeah, just share some of the experiences, and also how you can add this into your life right now so that you can make a difference in the life of yourself and your family and those around you. So Sully, if you could send everyone into breakout rooms, that would be awesome. So you can click on your screen and join a breakout room.
it really touched me because I do not spend much time. I'm always focused on my work. I'm sorry for it. I'm just a man. So I'm always focused on my work. And then no, more especially the first part whereby she mentioned you just need to spend time by looking at somebody. Just be there, be present, just be there, and then just look at somebody.
Oh, that's great. That's why you needed to be here.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. So, Andre, from your side, anything you want to add?
Yeah, thank you. It's Marina. Hey, who am I speaking to? Marina.
Yes.
Hello.
All of us.
Okay, great.
Marina and Matt.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, yes. Thanks.
Definitely.
Great. And is there anything else that you got, any questions you guys have?
One task, you automatically will go on to do the next. And you feel better about who you are as a person, what you're doing, you're getting things done. And it is just a healthy mental state at the end of the day, getting certain things out the way. Then you'll want to work out, you want to do the rest of it. And yeah, so far, really so good.
I agree with you. I completely agree. I've had a lot of people asking me, for instance, or saying to me that how they are so negative about this lockdown, and it's so bad and it's so bad. And then I say to them, okay, but that's good, but tell me what is good about the lockdown. If you look at human beings, if I ask you to tell me 10 things bad about the lockdown right now, people will go, and they can name 20 things. But ask a person to tell you something positive about the lockdown, then they go, I don't know. So we as human beings focus on the negative more. That is a tendency within us.
Now is trying to keep themselves in a positive mindset, and it's difficult to do that. There's so many factors that come into play. You're with your loved ones, your family, your kids, your husband, your wife, your mother, whoever it might be, in a very small confined space for a prolonged period of time, with added pressures of maybe not working because your company's temporarily retrenched you. You have to have positive outlets to deal with that stress. Exercise, like they did mention earlier on, running around your dining room table or around your kitchen.
So it's a great point that you bring up, and those are some of the ways that in our family that we've used to overcome those things. Serona, anything you want to say, add?
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you. This was useful.
Do you have children?
Sorry, that's why I need to be on mute. I do. She's 5, very busy.
Awesome.
A certain point with rehab.
and then they either get re-injured or they just can't get past that. And I found that it is the emotional side of things, and if you can get them through that, it's incredible to see the progress that they make. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Hey Fran.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you? Would you like to say anything?
I've learned so much. It's helping, you know, with fear and everything that's happening. Although I haven't really experienced much in that direction. I've just been so busy. Lockdown, I haven't actually realized that we've just been indoors. My ball of energy is keeping me very occupied, but I do presents. You know, I do it in the mirror with myself if I can't do it with my daughter or my mom, and I value presence. I also do daily.
We can talk and we can relate, and you know, you can just link to the people that you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best part.
So we got a message from Johan just saying that his connection is not really great. So,
Yeah.
well, at least we got to hear from Johan. Thank you,
Thanks
Johan.
all the same for joining.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that I'm pretty excited that I'm sitting at the comfort of my home. I got to meet 3 people I don't know. At least I know Connie, but I got to meet 3 people that I didn't know. For me, this is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for showing up on the call.
Well, that's awesome, and it's been great meeting you guys too. So thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely glad that I made the decision to join this. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Can you hear me? If you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so I think everybody is back. I'm hoping everybody's back. Silly, can you just confirm if everyone's back, if we're good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, great. So in terms of, I'd love to get some of your feedback in terms of some of the things that you learned, some of the things that you understood, some of the things, if any of you had any questions, if you found this valuable, and some of the ways that you're going to implement this in your home. So if you guys would like to, yeah, in terms of if anybody would like to share, maybe you could raise your hand, and then Sully can unmute you and then let us know. So who would like to share? So ideally, we'd like to have somebody from each breakout room. And so if you guys can raise your hand and let us know, or type in the chat box. Okay, so some of the comments that we've got is gratitude is a very good way to get back from overwhelm. Great to be able to share with people we didn't know. So Maggie. Would you like to share? Where are you guys? Okay. So I'm going to read you some of the comments. I was lucky to be in a room with 6 mentally powerful people. It was really great to get different perspectives. Yeah.
Connie would like to share.
Okay, great. If you can unmute her for us, that would be awesome. Connie?
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much. I think in our group, what we've realized is that we need to stay mentally fit, because it's very easy for people to not have a physical condition, but because mentally you believe it, you convince yourself, and you get your whole body into that state, leading to that condition. which may not be a physical thing, but because you believe it, that's what you will hold on to. That's what you will do. And in our group, I think we realize that it's very important during this time that we are in now to kind of recognize the positive things, because as human beings, I actually said to the ladies, if I ask you, tell me 10 things that's bad about the lockdown, people will be able to just ramble and go, blah, 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 20 things, 30 things. But when you ask people, tell me what's positive about the lockdown, they're going to go, let me see, maybe, we tend to focus on the negative. And I think, right now we need to make an effort to focus on the positive things, because no matter how negative things are, there can always be something positive that comes out of it. And we just need to look and search for that and focus on that right now. Like you guys said, be positive, focus on it, do things that you haven't done before, things that you wanted to do but never got doing. You now have the time, try it. It may just work, and you may just find it's something so positive and so amazing that you want to carry on with. So yeah, in our group, it was amazing to hear how everybody focused on being positive and getting to the positive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And just in terms of our group, somebody asked some tips and techniques as to how to introduce all these things into your family. And so if it's okay with you guys, I just want to share some of these things, because I think it is critical, especially with families right now, is that how do you connect with your family when you may or may not be talking to them, or everyone's frustrated and not in a great space. It's a great way to bring everybody together. So some of the things that I really want to recommend to people is have dinner together, sit down and eat together, because a lot of families are not actually eating food together. They are still, even though we're in lockdown and they're in the same space, they're still not sitting down and having dinner together. It's just the food's there, and when you want to go help yourself, and I'm watching this movie and I'm busy. And so sit down and make an effort to either do breakfast together or lunch or dinner or all three, but just use the time to connect together as a family, because those kind of things that they sound like common sense, but they're actually things that we know, but we just don't do them. So spend some time, do dinner together. Then another thing is bring your family together in the evenings and do the gratitude exercise. What were you grateful for today? And in our group, one of the guys was saying, well, good luck with my family, because they're all going to argue and fight with each other and nobody's going to be able to have their say. So what we did in our house, we implemented what we call a talking stick. And it can be as simple as a timer, or it could just be your cell phone with a timer on it. And what you can do with that is put a timer on for a minute, and the person that has their phone in their hand at that moment, they're the only one that can talk. And the timer goes for 2 minutes, and then they pass it on, because in some homes, you've got some kids that don't stop talking. They want to tell you everything. And then in other homes, you have teenagers that don't want to say anything. So that's okay. Give them the phone for 2 minutes or however long it is that they're going to have to speak for, and they get to hold it. And if they don't want to say anything, they don't want to say anything. But if you do it over a period of time, over 21 days, after 21 days, trust me, they'll be talking to you. How do I know? I have teenagers. I went through that. That's why I know that the little talking stick works. And it really does make people feel important. They feel like they're heard. They feel like they're valued. And it will make a difference. And Marina, I don't know if you just want to talk about a little bit around what connecting with your family does for your health. So Marina, you're on mute. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, connecting to family, especially around dinner time, there's been lots of studies, and everybody heard about the studies around the Mediterranean diet, how good it is for health. But what people don't realize, it's not the diet, it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle of sharing, going pick the veggies, making it, talking while making it, conversing while making it, then sitting around the table, you know, sharing stories, drinking a good glass of wine, although now we can't really. One glass. And just taking that time to connect as a family and eating good food and, you know, telling stories. I think that's the one thing we actually forgot. If you can think back to our ancestors, what did they do? During the day, they foraged the food, the men went to hunt, and the evenings was story times around the campfire. Stories was told, children were listened and they were taught the stories because that was the mode how they communicated and learned history. But I think that's also so important. It's about that sharing. It's about connecting. It's about, and communion, eating together. And so it's not only about the food. It's about the holistic setting.
The holistic experience. And the biggest thing is that through that process, people were present with each other. They were present with cooking the food. They were present with each other. They were present listening to the stories. They're present with each other and what's happening. So it is critical that you understand the value of presence, because when you are present, you allow people just to connect, to be in the space that they need to be in, experience the emotions that they need to experience, and it makes a significant difference. And Paula said, if you have no family with you, it's important to follow a routine. And it is important that you follow a routine. It is important that you, one, you're present, but two, you take action. And the power of a routine is you're taking action all the time. And you already know what your next steps are. So it is critical that you follow that routine, most importantly, so that you keep taking action. Because when you keep taking action, it'll keep you in the right space, it'll keep you in the green zone, and it'll keep you in the right environment, right space, right mindset, so that your health stays right, your immune system stays up, you can see opportunities when they come, and you can create more. So is this making sense to you guys? And is this adding value? I know this is a lot of basic stuff, but the biggest thing for me is that these are things that we all know, but we don't do. And it's so key that if you do them, you can identify exactly where you're at, and you can work through these emotions and things that are happening and start to make a difference. So Marina, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, just in terms of what we're talking about is critical for everyone now, but it is even more critical for those people that are the most vulnerable, people with chronic conditions, people that are on chronic medication, because they need to optimize their health. They are at risk. And if we do these things and help them, they will definitely have a better chance to survive. What we've seen from the stats is that the people that get ill, and especially those that die, are unfortunately those people that are elderly, but also those that have a number of chronic conditions. So yes, what we're talking about is key for everyone. And even if someone's got a chronic condition, to still optimize their health, to go and look at if they can find someone that follows a systems biology approach, to say, help me, I want to see where I am at and what can I do to optimize my health now. And it's not about adding an extra pharmaceutical. It's about looking at these factors: a lifestyle, mindset. How do I improve sleep? Maybe understanding, do I have key vitamin or mineral deficiencies that can really help me to go through this better. So yes, that's what I want to add. Thanks, Nicole.
Great, thank you. So Marina, something that you do is you do a vitamin assessment and a holistic assessment, is that correct?
Yes, I do a holistic assessment, and normally it's a physical assessment, and I've got certain things to do, certain assessments, but in a setting now, I've got a number of questionnaires where we can really find out where people are at, and to really identify which system is the most vulnerable and how to optimize it now. So that's one of the things that I do.
Okay, so would you be prepared to offer people a free 15-minute questionnaire where they can fill in some of their information and you know, just identify some issues in their health? Would you be prepared to do that?
Yes, no, I'll certainly be prepared, yeah.
Great. So if anyone is interested in doing a questionnaire, please, can you send your details to info@uncoveringgreatness.co.za? So Sully, maybe if you could type that email address into the chat box, that would be awesome. And if any of you are interested in doing that questionnaire with Marina, we would love to help you. The other thing that we would really are very passionate about promoting at the moment is helping people unpack shocks. And so if you would like to have a free shock session where one of our coaches will, and it'll be anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, one of our coaches will get a hold of you and will make sure, and will take you through a process where they will give you a free shock assessment, a free shock process to unpack the shock that you're sitting in. Because right now, our world is in a shock. Employees are in a shock, business owners are in shock, and we would just love to be able to help you right now. So in terms of the options, if you can send us an email with your telephone number and what you would like, if you'd like the health assessment 15-minute questionnaire with Dr. Marina, or if you would like to get one of our consultants to contact you to give you a free shock process, please send us an email with your details, and we would love to be able to help you, because for me, this is what we're passionate about. We're passionate about helping people, we're passionate about helping people shift through where they're at and make a difference. So Marina, do you want to add anything?
I think you've said it all.
So if we were just to recap, maybe you can just recap on the things that boost your immune system for people.
Okay, so yes, we've covered that last week. So the key thing that we've learned today is be present, be grateful. So write your, every day, do your 10 things that you are grateful for. Then most important is make sure that you eat healthy. Focus on plant-based fruit, and yes, have a rainbow of colors. And then the things that actually reduce our immune system is these things you really need to avoid is all sugary things, all your soft drinks, really be sparing with any alcohol. So, and try to stay away from any refined carbs, because one of the things that I know that most people with chronic diseases actually have problems with reactions to gluten, milk, and sugar. So those are the three main foods that are culprits in fueling chronic diseases. So plant-based food, good quality protein. If you eat proteins, if you're a vegetarian, make sure that you eat enough good quality plant-based veggies. And then there's sleep. Make sure you get enough sleep, and make sure you're in the sun every day. Unfortunately, the sun has been very shy, especially in where we ice at the moment. If there's sun, please go out, because we know a good vitamin D level actually enhances your immunity. So those are critical things. And then specific things that you can take, that So food that has been shown to improve the immune system is, yeah, a clove of garlic a day that's been crushed, that's stayed open for 10 minutes. If you can eat that, if you can tolerate that. There's certain people with certain gut conditions where they can't take that. Then there's, yeah, lemon in water. Lemon is also a good vitamin C. Take vitamin C supplement. Even just as little as 500 milligrams a day is very sufficient just to upregulate your immune system. You can take, there's lots of herbs with antiviral properties. You can take something like echinacea drops. Yeah, go and look in the health store. There's various herbal products and yes, also pharmaceutical products that do enhance your immune system. So take that in the quantities that are given. But the most important thing is your mind. Stay away from fear, because fear and stress is the thing that will lower your immune system the quickest. So number one is presence. Number two, be grateful, and then live a healthy lifestyle. Yes, and embrace this time to be with your family. Do fun things. For those of you that are still working, make time to relax and not work too hard. I found myself being so busy. I thought I was going to, do all of the courses that I finished halfway, and I haven't had time yet. So, yeah, structure your day and make time. So I hope that was a short recap and not a long recap.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, just and Sully did put it in the chat box for us. So it's key. Be present. Practice presence. It's a skill that we're born with. We're taught not to use as we get older. Practice it with your families. Practice it with your kids. Get good at being present, because I mean that 8 seconds of being able to concentrate absolutely horrified me. I thought we were still sitting at like 11 seconds, but to move down to 8, it's like, wow. So practice presence. Practice those things. Practice connecting with people in your environment. Connect with, even if there's nobody in your environment, connect on Zoom, connect on WhatsApp, connect with people around you, and start to be grateful for the things that you have. Shift yourself into the positive of the green zone, and then take action and stay there and keep yourself in the green zone. Keep moving, keep active. And we are super grateful to have all of you on the webinar with us. Thank you all. Thank you, Marina, for your time. And thank you, Sully, for being in the background and running the back end. We are unbelievably grateful to you for doing that for us. So thank you, everybody. Have an awesome rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.